Hey everybody, welcome to the Waldock Way. I'm Jessica, and today's video is going to be a homeschool question and answer part 1 video. So last week I asked you guys on Instagram and Facebook if you had any homeschool questions for me, and I got a ton of them. So I'm going to spend 2 videos going over them so that I don't feel like I have to rush any of the answers, and so that you don't have to sit through like super long videos. So you'll have part 1 this week and part 2 next week. I'm gonna also try to group the like questions together because I did get quite a few that cover some of the similar or same topics. So I will do my best to answer everything that I got in detail. If I don't answer your question or I don't answer it clear enough for you, please feel free to comment or even email me so that we can get whatever answer it is that you needed or wanted for your homeschool, because that is my goal, is to make sure that you are getting all the information that I could possibly give you to be helping you out for your own homeschool. So I had quite a few questions about an only child, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of address the majority of those questions. There are definitely pros and cons to homeschooling an only child. Obviously the pro is there's only one, so it is one-on-one. I can direct all of my time and attention to her. The con to that is there's only one. So she has no siblings or nobody else to spend time with or hang out with outside of me. That means I am her mother, her teacher, and her playmate. If she wants to play a game, that's me. If she wants to do anything that involves another person, it's, again, me. So what I find as a homeschool mom to an only child is it can be draining, and not like physically draining because you're not running all over the house chasing 10 kids, but it's emotionally draining. At least for me as an introverted mom, at the end of the day, I crave just peace and quiet. Like just nobody looking at me, nobody talking to me, nobody calling mom, nobody needing anything, just me, just alone time, quiet time. So that is the biggest con to homeschooling an only child, I would say. I got a lot of questions about socialization, and I did actually do a socialization video, which I will link up here for you guys. We don't do a whole lot. We don't go out of our way to do a lot for socialization. I don't necessarily believe in socializing your children. We are in a Wild and Free club or co-op this year. I run it. It's only every other week. Throughout the school year. We did a 4-H last year, so we kind of limit her to being able to pick one extracurricular a school year or a semester if it's a semester long thing. And outside of that, we don't go out of our way. So she's not like on every gymnastic or every soccer team or she gets to pick one extracurricular, and then we just live life. I can tell by the way she acts when she's needing more interaction from a child her age, and I will just plan a play date. Like if I see that she's craving some extra attention or some extra playtime, I'll just call a friend or my sister who has kids, or my cousin who has kids her age, and I'll just say, hey, let's get together, let's meet at a park, let's go, you know, on a field trip, let's do something. And normally Emily is kind of like an outgoing introvert, if that makes any sense. So by the time she's done with one extracurricular or outside activity, she needs like 3 days to recoup for that. That's my child, so that's what works well for us, is when I see she needs it, I give it to her, and then normally she's good for like a week or 2. So that's kind of how that works for us. Now, obviously every kid is going to be different, but we don't go out of our way to find socializing activities for her. And we also don't see that we miss or that she's missing out on anything. She probably is able to live her life to a much greater extent than any other child her age, because she has all of mine and my husband's attention. She is getting to do tons of fun things because she's not in a public school 6 to 8 hours a day. We can go on vacation. I mean, we go to Disney World at least once a month, and her favorite thing is to talk to the people, because a lot of the people that work there, you know, are from the different countries at Epcot or from different places. And so she talks to them. She talks to the people at grocery stores. She talks to the people at post office. I mean, we obviously don't just shelter her at home, but we also don't like specifically schedule. Like socializing isn't on our calendar. It's not on our must-dos. It's not on my planner to make sure I hit it. So as far as homeschooling an only child, if it's something you're considering, which is a lot of the questions that I got, is that a lot of people were considering it and they were worried that they were going to ruin or deprive their child by it just being them. So far, Emily's 7, And I don't see that that's been anything that we've done. I think if nothing else, our relationship is stronger because of it. And she is more secure in who she is as a person because she doesn't have any peer pressure. So that's just my opinion if that's where you're going. The other questions that I got quite a bit was, do I as a teacher or a mom or a wife ever find it hard to be motivated or stay on task? And the answer to that is yes, 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 and yes. I would be absolutely lying to you if I sat here and said, oh no, I'm always motivated, I'm always ready to go. No, that's not true. I am exhausted at the end of most days. I will be honest, probably 9 out of 10 times, I literally have to fight with myself to strew something at night. I'm on my way to bed and I'm like, oh man, I forgot to strew something. But I know that if I spend that extra 5 to 10 minutes that night, it's going to gain me 30 to 45 minutes in the morning. It's almost always worth it. So I always do it. I also know, same thing like, you know, the clean kitchen. If you spend that little bit of extra time cleaning your kitchen, you're going to be that much happier in the morning. So those are, you know, the things that I try to tell myself when I'm super like, I'm done with this. As far as homeschooling goes, when I am completely unmotivated, normally there's a reason. I don't just wake up and go, oh, I'm not feeling this today. I'm sick, I haven't had enough sleep, or I'm burnt out. So the first thing I try to do is have like an easier day. So we'll game school, or we'll watch documentaries, or maybe we'll even relocate school. So we'll go outside, or we'll just shake things up a little bit. If that still doesn't seem to help motivate me or change my feelings on it, honestly, it's probably time for us to just take a break, because there's probably other things going on that's helping me to not be motivated about it, because I genuinely do normally love homeschooling Emily. So if there's something that's just making me like, oh, I am so not feeling this, then it's probably in my best interest and her best interest for us to just take a break. Whether that's a few hours or a day or even a week, if that's what we need and that's what's best for us, then we'll just do it with absolutely feeling no guilt about it. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not motivated and I'm miserable and I push through, I'm gonna end up doing, saying, or I'm gonna do something I'm gonna regret. I'm probably gonna yell, I'm gonna get frustrated, I'm gonna take it out on her, and it's not gonna end well. So it's gonna end up making, putting a strain on our relationship and putting a strain on our homeschool, which is something that I try really hard not to do, because I don't want to do that. Relationships come first. Okay. Another question I got a lot of was kind of regarding strewing, was how to, I guess, teach your kids to play with what you strewed, or to even teach your kids or train your kids to play on their own. So first of all, with strewing, you really don't want to teach your kids to do a specific thing. I will link all of my strewing videos up here and my blog posts. It's kind of open-ended. You're not really allowed to tell your kids what to do with it. You can leave suggestions out, but the whole point is to kind of see where they go with it. Now, to get them to it, like to get them to find it, you obviously need to leave it in their path. So for us, that's normally on the coffee table, the school table, the dining room table. Sometimes strewing for me is just putting new apps on her tablet. So obviously I would just leave that where her tablet always is. I'm not going to put that in a specific place. But you just kind of want to leave it out for them. You want them to find it. But after a while, for us, it took about 2 to 3 months of me leaving it out consistently on the coffee table. I left it on the coffee table every day when we first started, so that she would know exactly where to go, you know, and kind of what would be there. Then she got excited about it. It was like a present. It was like a gift. So she was like, oh, what's it going to be today? And I acted like it was this a big deal. Like, oh man, doesn't this look like so much fun? Like, I made it a big deal. For some kids, that's not going to work. For some kids, you're going to need to completely ignore it. For Emily, I needed to make it a big deal. She needed to feel like it was something special for her. It was like a gift. It was, you know, I needed to make it enticing. So it needs to look pretty, and she needs to think it's special. And then what I did is, when I first started strewing, I would just sit down with her. Like, I would just sit down, and whatever she did with it, I would mimic what she was doing. Or I would, you know, like, let's say I left Legos out. I wouldn't have left Legos out because she was pretty young when we first started strewing, but let's say wooden blocks. I would build something small with my wooden blocks, and then I would say, oh, I need to go switch the laundry. And so I would be gone for 5 or 10 minutes, and I would intentionally continue to do that longer and longer and leave her for longer periods. so that she was kind of learning to play on her own without me specifically saying, okay, I need you to play on your own right now. And then eventually she would just play on her own. She'll play downstairs in our playroom, in our homeschool room by herself now. She'll play in her bedroom by herself. Now every now and then she wants some extra time. And so she'll say, hey, can I bring this in the living room? Which is fine. She's still playing independently. She just wants to be in the room with us. And so as long as she's not interrupting or being disruptive to whatever we're doing, we have no problem with that. We'll allow that too. But that's kind of how we did it, is we would sit down and either mirror what she was doing and then try to excuse ourselves to take breaks and still kind of be nearby, so she felt like it wasn't like we left her or we were asking her to do something. Because as a parent, here's the thing, as an adult, not even a parent, if somebody puts you on the spot and they ask you like anything, right? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Even as an adult, you're like, I have no clue. Or what curriculum are you going to use next year? Well, you haven't had time to research. You haven't had time to think. So if you tell a child like, I'm going to leave and you have to play by yourself, their brain's going to go blank. And they're like, wait, I have to figure out how to do something by myself. I have to be, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not for being bored. I totally am. But when you're first trying to train your kid or get your kid to play independently, just kind of leaving them in a room alone, they're just going to stare at the four walls because they don't know how. You have to teach them. They don't know how to do it yet. All right, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so a lot of people ask how I organize my homeschool stuff. I will link up here. I have a homeschool room tour of the room I'm sitting in right now, although it's changed a little bit. I will update that soon, but I have that tour and I will link that for you guys. And then I also have my office tour. We redid my office, so I will link that up here for you guys too. I store most of the things that Emily has free reign access to in our homeschool / playroom because she can get anything she wants down here at any time. And then most of the resources that I use, that I pull for like unit studies or that I use for strewing or that I've bought for future use, I store in my office. Not that she doesn't have access to that, because if she went in there and saw something and wanted it, she could have it. But that's just so that when I go to pull stuff, I know where it's at and I'm not having to dig through wherever she decided to put it up, even though she's pretty organized. And then how do I keep track of all of it? I wish I had a better answer for you. I really don't. I mean, in my office, I have it pretty well organized. And my rule kind of is I can't outgrow what I have. So for each kind of subject, I have like a cubby like this. And then I have another cubby underneath that has a basket. So basically, like for language arts, I have 2 cubbies. For math, I have 2 cubbies. And my rule to myself is I can't exceed that. So once I have filled that cubby, those 2 cubbies completely up, I either have to use what I have, get rid of what I have, or I can't get anything else. And that's just my rule to myself, so I don't overindulge, I don't overbuy, and so that I can know what I have. I mean, I don't have like a list, I don't keep it organized in a way that I'm like, oh, this is everything I have, but I can kind of sweep through the homeschool room in about 10 minutes to see like what's on the bookshelf, what's on the game shelf, and I know where everything is in my office that I can sweep through there in 10 to 15 minutes too. So if I'm throwing together a unit study even last minute, within 20 minutes, I could sweep the entire house and find everything I needed. Just because I keep it in an organized fashion, not because like I have a chart somewhere that lists everything I own, because I don't. I wish there was a way for me to log everything that I owned and keep it all nice and neat, but that's just not possible. And then I would have to update it every time I bought something new, and it would never happen. So that's just not feasible for me at this time in my life. A lot of people asked about what were my favorite resources either to teach a child to read or what did we use to learn to read. And I actually just posted a video on my favorite learn to read items on Tuesday. So I'm going to link that up here for you guys as well. And if I run out of iCards, it'll all be in the description box down below. But that way you can just see everything instead of me telling you on here and making this video even longer. That video shows my top 10 favorite resources for learning to read and what we used. How did I get started? Oh, goodness. We are accidental homeschoolers. Homeschool was not on our radar. It was one of those things, we live in the middle of nowhere and it was like, we're just gonna stay home because it's convenient for preschool, and then we just kept going with it. I have a little bit longer video that explains kind of why we homeschool and what led us here and why we keep doing it. I will link that again either in the iCards or in the description box down below for you guys. How far in advance do I plan? I don't. Okay, so here's the thing. I have a general idea of, wait, let me back up. Over the summer, I go through and I plan my goals that I want for the year. And those goals are not anything other than like language arts and math, and it's concepts I want her to master. And I have a video about how I plan for my goals. Again, I will link it here or in the description box. I'm sure I'm out of iCards at this point. But I just have that, and I do that over the summer. And that's like the only thing I plan for the entire year. And then I have an idea of what I would like to do. And when I say what I would like to do, that will take back burner if there's something she wants to do. For instance, we were working our way through Waldock Wizards and Wands and Passports to More Adventures, which she absolutely loves, and we've gone back and forth. But when a veterinarian unit kind of presented itself because she fell in love with it and she wanted to do more with it, all of that ceases and we go after her interest. And that's okay with me because I can work all of my goals and concepts that I want her to master into anything. So I'm okay doing that. And because I follow her interest, I have a what I call just in case plan. So I have stuff planned like my own curriculum, like Waldock Wizards and Wands, Passports to More, ready to go. I have all of the stuff together. I have it all kind of ready to go to be pulled at any time. But I'm also okay pausing it to follow something else, or even jumping ahead units or jumping backwards if she wants to go longer. And because of that, I don't plan as far as putting pencil to paper until like that week, because she could come to me tomorrow and say, oh mom, isn't this rock really cool? And maybe I wasn't planning on doing the alchemy, which is rocks and gems, in the Waldock Wizards and Wands for another 3 months. But if she's interested right now, I'm gonna shift everything and I'm gonna do that right now, because I have learned time and time again that when they are interested in something, they are ready to learn about it, and they're gonna retain 10 times more than if you teach it at a time when they're not interested or ready for that subject. So I have a general plan. I have kind of like what I call a backup plan, a just in case plan. But as far as like actually planning what we're going to do, I don't plan that until right before we're gonna do it. And even then, I plan it really loosely. Like, here's everything I'm gonna do I want to do for this unit, or, you know, for this time period, or for this topic. And I don't put it on days. I back plan for that stuff. That probably needs to be a whole planning video. I will work on that, you guys, because that is a very awkward topic, because it's a little bit different from the norm of what people do. And as far as morning basket, which is the only thing that I mostly plan, I plan that mid-month for the following month. So for instance, about January 15th, I'll start kind of picking the topic, which is normally holiday or season related, but I'll start looking at the time of year, what she's semi-interested in, and I'll start gathering resources. And the reason I do that is because, like, in November, if you guys watched, she threw me a curveball and she was like overly interested in animals and vets. So instead of doing Thanksgiving, which was my plan, I switched gears and went with what she wanted. And that way I haven't already purchased resources that I'm not going to use because she changed her mind, or because she didn't really change her mind, but because she was more interested in something else. And again, I find more value in teaching something when she's the most interested in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the question and answer here because I'm already almost at 20 minutes and I really don't wanna keep you guys for like hours on end. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe. Part 2 will be up next week.